Hey there, welcome to SureFire Live. Thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight I have a very special guest on, good friend of mine for a long time, and lady that I've known for several years through her husband first, and now through her service to our industry. And so we're going to have Debbie on, Debbie Wieldwald, here in a few minutes. Also, I want to thank all the people who have donated to the leukemia lymphoma society, and really a great outpouring from everyone out there. So thank you so much for that. My guest tonight has been in the chimney business for quite a long time, but through a lot of us fall into the chimney business backwards, and in this case, it's no exception in this way. And very good friend of mine. I'm just going to bring her on. Hey, Debbie, how are you?
I am good. Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good. So tonight, also, it's a two-way conversation. I see we have audience building. If you have questions for Debbie, please share those with us and make sure we don't have any so far. So far, so good. All right, Debbie. So you have an amazing story. I got to know you, gosh, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe. Does that sound right? It doesn't matter.
Probably.
So let's just talk about your journey. You have had, let's just talk about where you started and where you are now. And I know it's a long thing, but let's talk about how you got in the chimney business.
Okay. Well, in my previous life, I was working in child welfare and had been a child welfare supervisor. And at some point, as the children got older and were more involved in their activities, it just was kind of more of a rat race of trying to get home and get them to activities in the evening. And so with Steve Blackburn, running Blackburns Chimney, my husband at the time, it was easier to adjust and adapt to their schedule. And I started working for Blackburns Chimney at that point with Steve, and was working more the kids' hours. And so I would go in after the kids would get on the bus and then would finish the day, in time to get the kids off the bus. And at some point, the kids didn't need me around all the time. And so I started working longer hours. And then in 2011, July 25th, 2011, Steve was en route to a mixed group. And that's how you and I had met, was through the mixed group, years prior to even that. However, then Steve did not make it. He was a private pilot and went down in upstate New York and passed. And at that point, because I had been working in the company and it provided routine as well as, income, health insurance, all of that, I continued on running the company after Steve passed.
So I'm going to add some details to that, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
So yes, Steve was a mentor of mine. Steve, part of the reason I run the whole business and know the people I know in this industry was because of Steve. And he introduced me to John Meredith. He introduced me to mixed groups. I just learned so much from him. And one of his, gifts was he was just so creative, but he was funny about it. But when I met you, and here's the point, if people are watching, I'm going to be honest, I didn't think you wanted to be in the chimney business at all. And you had your heart somewhere else. And when I met you, you just didn't seem interested. And then, when Steve had his accident, I've never seen somebody more focused. And I know part of it was, you felt like you had to do it. But to me, that was an amazing transition from somebody who didn't want to do it to who was all in. Can you talk about that? Was a tough journey.
Okay. So after Steve passed, a lot of life was autopilot and just waiting for maybe another shoe to drop or seeing if my life would implode, because things were so different. We had a life built for, two parents, and I had two children at home at the time. One heading off to college that year. And, I am extremely grateful for the industry who, I always knew would provide support. I didn't need to necessarily call people, but like you and others, I knew were in my corner. And so if there were problems, I had resources to help me through.
So, but was it just because you felt like you had to do it? Like when you switched, because some people would just sell the business. Like, I'm not into this. I don't want to do it. Let me sell it. Why did you do a 180? Because I'm just going to sell some details. When Debbie took it over, it was very emotional, but also she just got right in. She didn't know what a drill was. She didn't know how the battery clicked in. She didn't know like nut drivers. So to that level, you would send me pictures. What is this? We're going to get that. And you did it with several others, and you fell right into it. And I think that's just the story that, why did you just not sell the business and get out?
It was the day-to-day activity. I mean, it was part of the reason to get up every day and to keep going. And the routine provided predictability. I think to sell the business would have been maybe more of a challenge than
Really?
to just showing up every day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I was running finances mostly, doing the financial stuff in the company. And then I had to learn more the service side just so that I could kind of have an understanding of that.
So let's talk about leadership. So you go, you were like in social work, right?
Right.
What is the most challenging thing that you've found to just jump into social services into blue collar leadership? Like what are the biggest challenges and what are the biggest successes that you've had?
I mean, the technical things, have been challenging. However, like I said, there's a lot of resources and support out there. And I'm thrilled with, like my background is with training and education. I was a supervisor at Children's Services. And so I value education and coaching people up, as well as trying to see strengths in people. And so I think that's more been my focus.
What's your biggest leadership challenge? What's your hardest thing you have to deal with on a daily basis? Or what do you run into?
Oh, I think being productive at times.
That's your biggest leadership challenge?
That's a challenge. Yeah, I'll explain that.
You're
one.
always productive.
Let me explain that one. But and then, as you probably know, is just addressing sometimes employees that need to separate from the company. Just that's a challenge, right? Because I try to see the good in everyone, and it takes me a long time to come to the realization or make the decision that somebody's not a good fit. But with regard to
go ahead.
But with regard to being productive, because my life turned upside down so quickly, it's hard for me to keep a future focus for things, if you will, because people die and life changes and bad things happen. And so sometimes for me, it's harder to plan off in the future because, things change that are out of my control or out of other people's control.
So with your next step, so you got thrown in the situation, you built a pretty big chimney operation. You're, 8 to 10 truck operation at this point?
Right around 8, yes.
Yeah, so it's one of the bigger operations of our type. And you've always given donations, and you've been a very giving person. So now let's transition that a little bit into your work within CSG. Why did you? So that's the National Chimney Sweep Guild. Mm-hmm. Tell us about what you do and why you, with the weight and the heaviness of the business, why do you donate your time to even more work?
I like volunteering, and I think that comes from, I mean, as I've always been involved in giving back, and with the industry being able to help me so much, throughout this transition, when I was given the opportunity to run for the NCSG Region 4 representative, I agreed to that. And now I'm also I'm the advocacy representative for NCSG. So, yeah.
Talk about what you do as a director.
Well, I just started.
Well, let's talk about this. What do you want to do? Where do you think you could be the most, helpful, and what do you think you could help with?
I'm very much a connector, and I like problem solving. And so I think with being an NCSG director, my strength will be with communicating with others and listening to any concerns, ideas, and then, hopefully getting some things implemented and being an advocate, working with the advocacy committee, that's interesting with learning more about government regulations and legislations that are impacting our industry.
So talk about what you do there. What do you see coming, or what do you see in that specific role in that area?
Well, there's been a lot of concerns about, the whole movement towards electrification, just impacts on, our ability to do our work, with regulations, changes in, of course, wood burning, the efficiencies, of course, we've been, I just spoke with Jim Brewer a couple hours ago and got some updates from him. And, like OSHA changes. And then I'm also, the advocacy committee also looks at international affairs, and then NFPA 211, 31, and 54.
So you're going to go to ESHFO this year? Or are you going to the European Chimney Sweep Federation?
Victor Imgarden, who is our representative for international affairs, mentioned that that's in August, but I've not heard anything about that. I'm sure.
It's in Poland too. I think they just reinstated it. So that would be a great place for you to learn international. It's a very different business internationally than it is in the U.S.
Right.
Do you know much? What's that?
Well, I'm assuming that was already set a long time ago, because I just again started with.
I think you should lobby for it for sure.
Well, thank you, but.
So on the National Chimney Sweep Guild, tell people what the guild does. Like why would they want to be a member? What does, everybody says, oh, I don't need to be part of that. I want to be part of that. Why do people want to be part of NCSG?
Well, okay. So again, going back to my social work background, I had my, one of my internships was actually with the Ohio chapter National Association of Social Workers. And so I got to be a part of a member organization at that point, and then went on to some leadership and board positions there. And as part of an internship, I started looking at, benefits of membership organizations, and really, would you want to see a medical provider who's not a member of the AMA? Would you want to have your, the teachers of your children not be a part of their professional organization? I think it's really important to contribute and be a part of that collective of the industry. And for our industry, that's NCSG. There's also, of course, other related or affiliated organizations. But NCSG, as our membership organization, there is the advocacy, there's the education, the certification. There's resources out there, the TAC line. There's, again, the networking convention that we just attended.
To me, the convention was just, this is the best thing happening in the industry. You go to the NCSG convention, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to meet a lot of people. There's just so many, I met so many people there that changed my life. You don't realize your husband was one of them. I remember he spoke, I think they were going through the E-Myth, and they were doing the whole E-Myth thing. And Steve spoke about, I remember sitting next to him, and he said at the time, you guys only did within, like, I think 20 minutes of your office, he said, was your service area. And I'm like, I can't imagine that. I mean, it just blew me away. And then at the NCSG, you guys brought in Michael Gerber to talk about, the e-myth, and it changed so many lives. So I think, again, a lot of people can say that the NCSG convention is the best thing out there. But so what do you do as a director? Do you call all of your constituents, or are you just trying to just get an overall feel, or do you literally touch base with everybody? Like, why would somebody want to do it, and why do you do it?
As a director, again, is to have a relationship with, hopefully, people in Region 4, as well as the, membership as a whole. And, it's, again, I'm getting orientation
okay. I'm sorry.
Thursday. And so I will learn a little bit more about my role. But, Jeff Kiefer, who was the previous NCSG representative from Region 4, frequently called me, and I'm assuming, other membership, other businesses in our region.
Yeah, you'll be great at it.
So
let's talk about, and again, this two-way conversation. I haven't had too many questions for Debbie. I want you guys, anything, again, she started from not wanting to do the business to running one of the best chimney companies out there. And she went from being a social worker to being a blue collar leader. And to me, those two things are very unique. In fact, I mean, well, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Let me speak on that because, okay, so child welfare had its challenges, and when you're talking with people who didn't necessarily want to be involved, there's some similarities. Plus, with child welfare, there's a great need to document, and when you have to present in front of the court, you better have your act together. And with phone conversations, some of the things that I brought from child welfare is, I can document, I can communicate. When you work with somebody who maybe doesn't want to have you there, you look at what the commonalities are and where you can agree. And so with social work and child welfare, it's a matter of, you want your child to be healthy, you want your family to be successful, right? So with chimneys, it translates, you want your home to function properly, you want your chimney to, work for you, and there's ranges. Let's talk about that. Documentation, and same with, when you have an irate customer, you have to meet them where they are, right?
Yeah.
And so that, that's helpful.
So let's move on to Sweet Boy Cancer then. Tell us about why you run a big business,
right?
And you keep volunteering. You volunteer for NCSG, Sweet Boy Cancer. I don't know what else you like. I guess tell us about Sweet Boy Cancer. A lot of our people know, but what do you do for Sweet Boy Cancer?
I am a member of the board along with several other people in the industry, and just thrilled to be able to give back. And, certainly cancer affects so many people's lives. My mom ended up having to deal with 2 cancers last year, and 2 of my coworkers are currently going through, cancer treatment, or one will be resuming that soon. And I think when I was even asked to be on the Sweep Away Cancer Board, my mom hadn't, had to deal with treatments at that point. So, it was just, again, one of those opportunities within the industry to get to know people better and in a different way, and to be involved.
Yeah. So if you don't know what Sweet Boy Cancer is, it's started by a couple of chimney guys. I'm one of them, but we wanted it was Sweet Boy Breast Cancer at first, because Tommy Nelms, this was his idea. He wanted to do something for breast cancer, and then we just changed it to all cancer. But we really wanted to give money directly to people that needed it. And I can tell you, I mean, that's how it started. That's what it is. But the one misconception is a lot of people think that you have to be in the chimney business to benefit from it. And you're on the boards with me, just so everybody knows, it can be no connection needed. just somebody in need. As long as we have money, we're giving it out. Now, we do give slightly more money to people in the chimney industry because most of the money is raised by chimney industry people, but we still have gifts. We have never turned anybody down. So talk about that process, what you know about, what you've seen out of it.
Mainly just, meeting with the other board members via like email, a little bit when in person at the convention as we look to raise money. And so one of the big fundraisers is the Sweep Away Rally that's coming up this Friday and Saturday. And went last year. And again, this industry has given me so many opportunities and bucket list opportunities. And I was very thrilled to attend the rally last year. The industry has also allowed me then, other bucket list items to do, and being, like I said, on the Sweep Away Cancer Board, the NCSG board are two of those, just great opportunities to give back. And I'm really thrilled with the rally. Are there a lot of registrations for that?
Yeah, really, honestly, about as many as we could handle. There's basically 50 people going to be there.
Great.
And it's tough to lead too many more than that through the mountains without having like a total, disaster. So the rally is a little bit sized on, depending on what we're doing. If we're doing more open roads, we could do it. But that, the Tail of the Dragon is one of the most amazing places you'll ever drive a car or ride a motorcycle. And you got to lead a big group through that. It's a little bit of a challenge, but it is a big rally. It is a great It is a great charity. Where do you think we can go? What are we missing? What can we do better at Sweep Away Cancer? You could do better so we could, give more, do more.
I staffed a t-shirt booth at the NCSG convention, and it was really neat listening to people tell their stories of their loved ones. And I think Sweep Away Cancer is an opportunity for our industry to share how cancer has affected their lives and their families.
Yeah.
As well as people were excited about the rally. But we have folks, all over the United States and elsewhere, and it would be really neat to replicate the rally in other areas.
Right.
And maybe kind of have a package of, here's the format. Let's move it then, to California along the coastline or somewhere else. I think would be phenomenal. And just,
I remember that guy talked about that at NCSG. He's like, great, the Smokies, but how about coming west? And that opened up a whole nother, I forgot that he said that. We need
right.
Yeah.
Yes. As well as, we have phenomenal vendor support in our industry that are, and a lot of those vendors are providing education, throughout the United States and can be advocates for Sweep Away Cancer and would like to have some information sharing. And so it would be really neat to, I don't know, if either get a newsletter or getting some public relations material out to people just to kind of keep Sweep Away Cancer front of mind.
Yeah. And, cross some bridges. It can go outside the chimney industry, and we could do a lot with other things. And again, it's I think the thing that's so good about it's all volunteers. Yes. And 96% of the money that's raised goes right to the people that need it. And it's a really clean, very giving charity. So thank you for serving on it. What else? We're about 30 minutes in, and we've got, I think, I don't have any questions yet. I need more questions for Debbie, but tell me what else you got going on. Tell me about your business. What's the best thing you guys do?
The best thing what?
That you do? Like what's the highlight of Blackburns?
Oh, I think every day is a highlight. I enjoy the company. We have a great group. We're doing great things in the Central Ohio area. Right now we're of course in repair season. If it would stop raining, that would help us get those repairs done. But it's nice. I like the Midwest with the seasonality.
Yeah.
Other than January and February when it's just frozen for the most part and it's hard to do much of anything.
Are you planning on growing your business? Do you plan on kind of maintaining the size you are? Do you see growth in your future? Do you see pulling back? Like what do you have, what's lined up for you?
I would like to see growth. Need to do better with hiring, of course, those lovely challenges. And I have been working with business advisors just to, improve the business,
Yeah.
and
Even if you don't grow it, running it better is better for everybody.
absolutely. And, John Meredith through Heat Shield Summit introduced many of us to Aileron
All
several
right.
years ago. And that's a business development facility in Dayton, Ohio, which is real close to me. And so, like, even tomorrow morning, I'm heading to Dayton for
It's a world-class
group
place.
there. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I'm really thrilled to have that opportunity.
The guy who started, if you don't know, Aileron, it started by the Clayton Mathiel, who was the head of Iams Pet Foods, and became a
Yes.
billionaire, and then donated this business place basically to any businesses. From what I understand, is that how it works?
Yes. Well, it was actually originally his like IMS University, if you will. And so that's where he was training, his staff and then expanded it out, I believe, to, like their distributors and others, and just felt the need to have an organization that gave back and, really sees that small business owners are the foundation of the country.
So when you say you want to grow the business, what does that mean to you? Does that mean like a truck a year, 2 trucks a year, like what does growth mean to you?
Just adding the trucks as I'm ready. I mean, again, I don't really have this mapped out future plan.
You're a planner. So you grow kind of organically, like
Correct.
whatever feels like it's time to grow will grow.
Correct. Yeah, like who's the staff involved and who's on board and who's trained up and who's ready and yeah, all that.
So talk about hiring. It's everybody's biggest challenge. A lot of people talk about the struggle. What have you found that may work or help people, or have you found something that just doesn't work? Like what's it like for you?
Again, I think sometimes I'm the biggest barrier because I'm not moving quickly when I have applicants to screen them. And a lot of times, we hire people who are friends of our employees or relatives, and that has served us well.
Yeah, it can. It can serve you well, or it can be a nightmare.
Yes.
So mostly, so let's just say I want to grow. What do you put in place? Do you start hiring, or do you tell your team, like, or you say, hey, we're going to add a truck this year for sure. We need to. Here's the plan. Like, how do you lead that? The growth for everybody in your company to know where we're going.
It would be more so just we're hiring and then just kind of seeing those people develop in their skill sets. If we're hiring, like, again, it's the seasonality. We're right now, a lot of the all hands are on deck for repairs. In the fall, it's
So
more
I mean,
sweeps.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, so you said repair season now. Like I don't
Mhm.
have that season in the South. It's always repair season for us. So what does that mean? So you like March through, I don't know, fall or a certain time.
Correct.
That's what repair season is.
Mhm. Yeah,
Do you have to shut down during the winter very much?
not normally. I mean, normally we can get out and do sweeps, but you can't be rebuilding chimneys when it's, I mean, we probably could make some adjustments, but when it's like in the teens, it's not really easy to do any type of masonry work at that point. Or you
When you
wouldn't.
plan on when you plan on growing, are you going to do you add like chimney sweeps? Do you add repair crew? Do you add a guy that does everything? Like when you say I'm going to add a truck, where do you see your growth being?
It would be, I mean, right now, I mean, I could handle growth in all areas, if you will, like the masonry and like liners and stalls as well as sweeps.
So you'd hire anybody for any position? Like what do you like what's the plan? Like you just wait to see in your team who can do it and then you create the position, or like what's your thought process as you grow?
we've had a lot of people be cross-trained, in terms of they're able to do some of the minor repairs, some of the installs. And a lot of it is, the folks who are more technical or mechanical do better, perhaps in the, installs and more of the major repairs. The folks who are more geared towards and comfortable, speaking with customers do better, it seems like, with the sweeps.
Yeah. But do
Yeah.
you develop the role and say, hey, I want you to go in this role, or do you develop the person and say this is going to be the role? Like, do you have a process, or is it just kind of
It's organic.
like
Just
how do you
again,
determine?
this is just people's personalities and comfort levels and interests, and just kind of coaching people and
So to me,
seeing what
that's a
they're.
more of a social way to run it. Like
Yeah.
you develop the people, and again, that's just how it is. Like for us, we say, we had this meeting today. We're going to need 3 more repair crews. We're going to need 1 more chimney sweep here. We're going to, what I mean? We're going to, like, it's very tactical, and this is what we have to have. And we've got some people that we know want to move into these roles, but we also know we're going to have to, like, to us, sometimes it's what the guy needs, but more for us, it's like, this is what the company needs. This is how many more, like, when you grow, it's just an interesting question to me. When you say you want to grow, like, what does that look like for you? Because it looks very different for me.
Oh yeah, it's not a planful thing. I mean, it's when somebody's ready to be set free to be a lead and run a truck, and yeah.
Well, it's working for you. I mean, again, you've figured out a thing that works for you. And I always like hearing different methods of leading, because there's clearly 1,000 ways, and every way is okay and bad at the same time. So there's no one thing that makes leadership work, because you and I are just very different. I think we work well as a team together whenever we've had a chance to work together, but we're completely different. And I think you've got skills that, I know we just have different, it's just how it is. But,
There's like hits and misses. We would still love to develop someone who is more geared towards gas service, but we haven't been able to do that, and just either not having the skill set or the interest.
So at that point, what we would say, hey, we need a guy in the gas division. We look internally, and then we go look into HVAC guys and try to pull people over. Do you ever try it like that, or do you just say, okay, we're going to bring on this person and then see where he goes?
Sometimes we've brought in people specifically for the Mason department and developed them in that area, and those were good fits.
So let's talk a couple more things about business. How do you market your business? So is it mostly word of mouth, or do you have certain marketing methods that you guys do to make the phone ring? Like, how do you do it?
Mostly it's word of mouth. We have a presence on Google, of course, and working, just some social media presence. I'm in a network group, and that's been helpful.
Let's talk about networking for a minute, because I'm a big fan of networking.
Absolutely.
What have you found? What groups are you in? What do you do to network? Because you network in a lot of ways, but mainly your business in your town.
Well, I mean, the specific network group is Am Spirit Business Connections, and it's a nationwide networking group similar to BNI. More people seem to have heard of BNI, but Am Spirit is really big in Columbus, as well as some other regional areas. And again, we meet weekly, and, non-competing businesses, sharing kind of referrals as well as information, and acting as a sales force for each other, through that know, like, and trust of each other.
What do you do so on the networking part, do you do anything else like, like chambers of commerce or church groups? Like, do you have any other networking that you do for the business?
Not officially a network group, but I'm a member of our community's Rotary, which I absolutely love, because it's, again, another opportunity to give back. If you haven't realized, I
God.
spend a lot of my time
Is there anything left,
volunteering.
Debbie? You're always giving.
No, I actually have hit the point now where I do need to say no. But I'm like treasurer of 2 church organizations and on some other committees as well. But anyway, but my Rotary, I absolutely love. And, it's in my neighborhood. It's when I moved to this part of Columbus, I had the opportunity to join the Rotary, and it's been a phenomenal opportunity to learn about the community. We have weekly speakers and to learn what's going on in Central Ohio.
What do you do for like your current customers? Like if I buy Blackburn services, what would I expect as a current customer from you?
In terms of
Marketing, like,
marketing?
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, we have a email newsletter that goes out monthly. Again, the presence, on social media, that type of thing.
Do you do much with like forward scheduling, that kind of thing for current customers?
We do some, yes.
Mm-hmm. On marketing, what do you do do you do like TV or radio or just your vans, or like, do you do anything, to grow the company? Like, have you found anything that really works like that?
We have been around since like 1986. So we're one of those companies that the community knows. Of course, our trucks are wrapped. And, we've been in a lot of the neighborhoods for a long time. So we are pretty well known.
Like, I never had much luck with forward scheduling. I have such a high cancellation rate, and I just never and we've talked about it on the show before. Do you have luck with that as a marketing effort?
It's just, again, a benefit. And I think probably maybe the best part of trying to do forward scheduling is to get our existing customers out of the fall scheduling.
Right.
So
do you got your season right now? Do you slow down in the summer before busy season, or is it full on out right now?
It's full on out. I mean, literally January and February probably are slow just because the weather is just awful.
How many more crews could you use if you had fully trained crews? How many more could you use with your backlog?
I'm not sure. We could probably grow pretty considerably, but again, it just depend, I guess.
What else on business? Tell me your biggest secret. What's the best thing you know as a business person that if I was starting the business over that you should tell me? I'm 18 years old. You get a chance to make sure I get off on the right foot. What would you tell me?
Always learn and network. I mean, I network and communicate with a lot of people in the industry, and the education, I think is so critical. And I'm very grateful for all the opportunities there are. I mean, the industry has such phenomenal education that's out there. And it's one of those things where it's like, you don't have to go alone. There's other people you can learn from, as well as, develop those systems and document. And that's something that I'm mostly working with the business advisors and Aileron, is to get those foundation pieces there that are needed.
Well, good. Debbie, I don't have too many questions for you tonight. Is there anything else that you want to talk about in CSG? What do you guys have coming up? Do you guys have shows? Do you guys tell me about what you guys are doing? Well,
there's a lot of certifications and training coming up. I don't have the calendar right in front of me, but I know there's a hot training. I think it is in June.
Tell me what hot training means.
Yeah, that's hands-on training. Let me maybe find that real quick in the magazine. But the hands-on training is, again, just opportunities to share, learning. So I think that's important.
It's kind of like they ride with a crew, or it's actually, do they go out to people's houses? Is that what they do with these?
Sometimes I think it's at camps. There's one, it looks like on June 25th in Pennsylvania, sponsored by the Pennsylvania Guild.
Okay.
Yeah. And the certifications, and like with talking to Jim Brewer, as well as trying to get a handle on, all of the legislation under the advocacy umbrella. I think it's really important that people, think globally as well as then act locally. It's one of those things where, as an advocacy committee chair, if I hear about legislation across the United States, my calling that representative or calling out in that area is not going to be as effective as having members in those areas informed, as well as having those relationships. And like through Rotary, I see my state representative pretty frequently because she's also a member of my Rotary. And so, we've carved pumpkins together and we've volunteered together. And, it's really important, I think, to have those relationships with your legislators. And so, and to be informed, and for our membership in our industry, it's really important for people to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's impacts there. Yeah. And if people aren't involved, you can't complain later if something comes out and now all of a sudden, you can't do your job because you don't have the right certification, or, there's a push for, like natural gas bans, like in a lot of areas. And those are hitting smaller communities. Those aren't necessarily coming across nationwide as a nationwide effort or even a state effort. It's these communities that are banning natural gas. And then you have, like Texas and other areas where the grid isn't established to handle, all of the electric usage, and places go down. Yeah. And as an industry, we can be partners, for the alternative heat, we can be partners with looking at efficient burning.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all want that. It's just, if the government shuts you down, it's little community by community, it's hard to fight it. If they want it to be done, we have to fight back, and we got to know about it to fight back.
Absolutely. And as part of it's just really being informed and, thinking about what's the other side. I mean, obviously, we don't want to destroy our environment. However, we can be partners and do, still maintain our industry in a way that is beneficial.
Yeah. You guys also have Chimney Expo coming up, right, in August?
We do, yes. And that's going to be, again, more hands-on training.
Yeah. It's in King of Prussia.
Correct. Pennsylvania.
And first, is it August 10th? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but anyway, you guys are doing an expo there. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of training. Where's national show going to be next year?
Connecticut. I want to say we're back to Mohegan Sun or that area.
Do you know where you're going to be after that?
I do not. I'm not sure if it's been announced yet.
I remember going to the Mohegan Sun. I think maybe it was where I met John in 2006. Okay. And and I've heard it's grown quite a bit since then. Mm-hmm. All right. So, well, Debbie, thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple of days at the Sweet Boy Cancer rally.
I won't be there because I will still be at the NCSG Guild. yes. And I heard where you're okay. So tell me about the Man of the Year with the leukemia and lymphoma thing. Now, that's just a regional Tennessee, right? Or middle state Tennessee? Or
so somehow I got nominated for the Man of the Year, Middle Tennessee. I actually, you get awarded it. You're in a race with other person of the years to raise the most money. Once you're the Man of the Year for Middle Tennessee, I've got to raise the most money to, do the most good. So I got nominated for it. And I've never had leukemia or lymphoma affect my life. I know you have, and so many have, but I still, the charity is just very well run, and it's a very giving, and it affects a lot of people. So I thought I was joining a team, and like, oh no, you're the nominee. I'm like, so thank you for asking. I think I'm going to come around $100,000, but I was pledged to do $200,000.
Oh, okay.
So although I did good, it's like, shooting for the stars and hit the moon. So
that's okay. And people can still donate, right?
They can. In fact, I'm going to have a link. There's a couple of cool things going to come up. Do you know who Lauren Elena is? She's a country singer. She won American Idol and several things. She is going to she's going to sing. You can auction off 3 songs that she'll sing for you at your house. I've got the Nashville Predators signed a hockey stick. And so I'm going to put a link up to the auction if people want to bid on some really cool stuff coming out of Nashville.
Great.
But
yeah, and you have to wrap that up pretty soon too, right?
so here's the problem. It's this weekend. So I also have the rally.
Yeah.
So I have to go over, start the rally, ride about half of the rally on Saturday, and drive back to Nashville for this award thing. So, but
well, I hope you put information, on this event or on this link,
Yeah, when I repost it, I'll put that out there.
Great.
But thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, one of the things, with going through such an awful situation with Steve's passing, and realizing that life is fragile. One of the things I think is so important is, to have conversations with loved ones as to what your plans are and what you think for the future, in terms of even planning for, someone's death, because, those are hard conversations. But at some point, somebody's going to be left, behind to have to make decisions. And it's helpful to have those dialogues in terms of planning. And then likewise, as you plan, and I know you're a big planner, and I think that's where you and I kind of differ in some ways, but, and I see you enjoying life. And I think sometimes, younger people especially get so wrapped up with trying to build and be so involved that maybe they miss what's going on now. And, life is fragile, and it's so important to be present and to enjoy those experiences and, have those opportunities. And I know you and others have worked really hard and take that time to do those vacations. But, it's one of those things where, in the future, the kids are grown, and, did you miss those years? And, just taking that time to really be present and enjoy, what's important now.
I just, my podcast, I did this last week, talked about that very thing, that principle of, when you're a kid, you have a bowl full of cherries and you eat them as fast as you can. And then as you have fewer and fewer of them, you eat them slower and really relish them. And that's the same with our years of our life. At first we run through them, and now we're trying to enjoy the cherries.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why this does this. Some reason I lose control of the show. I can't control any of the buttons. It's so weird. But well, thank you so much for. Oh, do you have something else? Look like you looking at something.
No. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate all that you do for the industry.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you and you're coming on strong. You are a giver, and this industry really benefits from so many givers. There's so many people on every level that give, and you're one of them that just, you could have had a million reasons not to give as much as you do, but you keep giving and giving and giving. And so we're all blessed and thankful for you, Debbie. So thank you for everything you do.
Yeah. Before we go, just again, I am a representative for NCSG. So if there is anybody in the industry that wants to reach out to myself or any of the other regional directors or even at large.
Tell me about what Region 4 is, like what area is that?
And I tried to find it in the magazine, and it does not. Of course, this issue doesn't have it, but Ohio, Michigan, and then heading a little bit over to the west.
You don't have Kentucky?
I don't believe so. Maybe I do. I don't. Again, it's of course not in the magazine I had. Well, you should know what region you're in. And I know. No, not you. The people listening. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Not you. I'm not blaming you. You're but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's one of those things too, where if somebody has a relationship with David Stewart or other people, reach out to them. But I mean, the whole purpose of having a professional organization is to collectively be stronger. Yeah. And I think we are. I think this industry is stronger, getting stronger through a lot of people wanting to see that, wanting to do better. So thank you for that heart. Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you very much, Debbie. Have a good night. You too.
All right. Hope you enjoyed my talk with Debbie. We talk about mentors. Her husband who passed was probably one of the biggest influences in my life, like I said before. And the thing about it is, one, you don't know how long you have with people, and two, be a mentor to people, because if you ever want to leave a really good mark and a lasting legacy, you be a mentor. You help people, and you hope for the best for them. So, all right, guys, that's my time. I want you to have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.